It's time now for our community affairs show. I'm Cheryl Jackson, and I am really excited to talk with Dean Brenner. He is the board chair at the Alzheimer's Association National Capital Area Chapter and board of directors at Alzheimer's Association. How are you, sir?
Great, Cheryl. Thanks so much for having me on today. I really appreciate it.
It is my absolute pleasure. I am, the Alzheimer's Association is dear to my heart. My mom had vascular dementia, and I relied heavily on the Alzheimer's Association, especially the National Capital Area Chapter, to get all the resources and information that I needed to get through that period of her being her caregiver. So I'm excited to have you on, and it is that time of year again. So tell us about the Walk to End Alzheimer's.
Well, first, Cheryl, I'm so sorry to hear about your mom. My mom also passed away from Alzheimer's in 2018. And I don't know about you, but I was kind of alone going through the process of trying to find the help that my mom needed. And eventually I found the Alzheimer's Association, and they were just really invaluable. So the Walk to End Alzheimer's is the largest community event that we have every year. This coming Saturday, the 27th, it'll be on the National Mall in Washington, D.C. at 10 a.m. Please, please, please come. You can sign up at www.alz.org. And we're doing two things at the walk every year. The first thing that we're doing is providing a community for people who are dealing with Alzheimer's, both people who have it and the people like you and me, Cheryl, who are trying to take care of those people who have it. And we know Alzheimer's is so prevalent. So many people in our community are dealing with it. And if you feel that you're alone, we know what you're feeling like. Please, as I said, come to the walk on the 27th on the National Mall. You'll find a warm, welcoming community, and you will also be able to learn a lot about all kinds of resources that the Alzheimer's Association provides. And then the second thing we're doing at the walk, Cheryl, is we're trying to raise money. So to support research into a cure for Alzheimer's, to support caregivers, to provide all of the services and resources we support, which, by the way, include the 1-800 number, 800-272-3900. That's 800-272-3900. You can call that 24/7. If you're dealing with Alzheimer's in any way, you need help, you need information, you have support, you need support. So the Walk to End Alzheimer's, again, it's our biggest community event. And if you're dealing with it, I know you may be feeling like you're alone, but you're really not alone. There's so many of us that have been through it, so many of us that are going through it. You're one of us. Please join us for the walk on the mall on the Saturday, the 27th.
Got it. So I understand, and you're right. The walk is such a huge event. I've participated before, and I was the one who held the white flower. So there's a ceremony that goes before the walk that really is emotional because it talks about the different stages, right? It's those that are there
Right.
that are dealing with Alzheimer's, those who are caregivers, those who lost loved ones, all their representative. And so you've got organizations, and then at the end, it's a white flower that person is representing, and that is the flower that represents the cure for Alzheimer's. And when I say I was so emotional holding that, it was literally right after my mom had passed that I was asked to be a celebrity to hold that flower, and it meant so much to me. So I know this walk is huge, is very impactful, but it also gives you a bird's eye view of all the people that deals with Alzheimer's and other dementias. Why is the walk especially important in D.C., Maryland, and Virginia?
Right, and there's the biggest reason why the D.C., Maryland, and Virginia walk is so important is we know that Alzheimer's is so prevalent here. So all told, Cheryl, between D.C., Maryland, and Virginia, there are about 900,000 people who are dealing with Alzheimer's.
Wow.
If you add the number of people who have it and the number of people who are trying to take care of those who have it, 900,000. So
Wow.
Alzheimer's is just everywhere around us in D.C., Maryland, and Virginia. It's your neighbor, it's your friend, it's your family member, it's people in your faith community. It's just everywhere. And then even another shocking number is if you compare the prevalence of Alzheimer's in D.C. and Maryland to the rest of the country, D.C. would be first among the states if D.C. were a state. Maryland is the most prevalent state. And even zeroing in a little more than that, Prince George's County, we have data that covers prevalence by county, and Prince George's County is the fourth most prevalent county in the country.
Wow.
So Alzheimer's is a gigantic national problem, a gigantic problem in the greater world. It's a gigantic problem in D.C., Maryland, and Virginia. And so what can we do about it? Well, again, one of the things we can do is come to the walk, be in community, join our efforts to advocate for people with Alzheimer's, make sure our members of Congress and our other elected officials know how prevalent Alzheimer's is and that they will support research at the National Institutes of Health, NIH, which really is the premier body in the world overseeing and funding research. We need everyone to be in community with us and to support our advocacy efforts.
Wow. Why do you believe that it's so prevalent in our area? Why is it so concentrated here?
Yeah, so there are a few different reasons for it, Cheryl. So first of all, it has to do with the demographics of who lives in our region. So for reasons the scientists still can't totally explain, and so much about Alzheimer's, even though we're making progress, is still a scientific mystery. For reasons the scientists just don't know why, African Americans are twice as likely as whites to get Alzheimer's, and people who are Hispanic are 1.5 times more likely than whites to get it, and about 2/3 of the people who have Alzheimer's are women as opposed to men. So if you think about the demographics of our region, part of it is the percentage of people who are living beyond 65. Okay, that's a very good thing. But another part of it is those who are living beyond 65 who are female, and those who live beyond 65 in our region who are African American and who are Hispanic. And when you combine all those demographic factors, you wind up with the conclusion that, gee, on a percentage basis, we really are, at the center of this devastating disease.
Wow. That's the biggest reason, or even more, why we need to support the Alzheimer's Association and be a part of this walk, because part of the proceeds is going towards research and finding a cure. And so what progress I do every year, after you guys have your conference, we always give the update on the progress that's been made in the early detection of Alzheimer's. Talk about some of the progress that's been made.
Right. And we have made a huge amount of progress, and probably the biggest progress in terms of early detection is there's now a blood test. So when you see something in a family member that's just off, that doesn't seem like just normal aging, it's something beyond that, go with that person to a primary care doctor. And today, the primary care doctor, after doing a cognitive exam, if the doctor agrees, hey, I don't like what I'm seeing here, I want to check this out, they can do a blood test. And the blood test is looking for certain chemicals that equate on a very, very high percentage basis, that equate to having this buildup of amyloid plaque, and that equates to Alzheimer's. So in the past, Cheryl, in order to determine whether someone had Alzheimer's or not, you would either have to do what's called a PET scan. They would do like a CAT scan of your brain. Of course, that's hard to schedule. That's maybe not available everywhere, and it's very scary. Or they would do a spinal tap. Of course, that it can be painful. That can also be difficult for a whole variety of reasons. Now we have a very simple blood test. It's been validated. We know that it's very accurate. And so that really is a breakthrough in terms of diagnosing who has Alzheimer's much, much earlier. And I'm going to explain in a sec why getting an early diagnosis of Alzheimer's becomes so important. And that's because we finally have some drugs that can slow the progression, slow the cognitive decline, but only if the person is in an early stage. So for all those reasons, getting over to a primary care doctor and having a primary care doctor administer one of these blood tests is now the difference between potentially getting help and having it be too late.
All right. I love it. I love the fact that you can get a blood test now. Yeah, when my mom was being tested, she had to get the PET scan, and she was
Right.
up in age at that point as well. So we didn't want to really take her through a lot of poking and prodding, but a blood test would have been a lot easier from what she had to go through.
Right.
Um,
And just the fear, Cheryl.
mhm.
I mean, I know for my mom, taking her to get a scan was absolutely out of the question because she would have been so afraid. But a blood test, I mean, that could be administered ultimately as part of just your normal physical. We all get blood tests. It's a lot less onerous. And of course, it's, available on so much of a wider basis.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Can you tell us about the first two FDA approved treatments for Alzheimer's now?
Yes. So there are now two drugs. They're called Leqembi and Kisunla. And I know those are kind of tricky names. I'll just repeat it. Leqembi and Kisunla. And what these drugs do is we know that if a person has Alzheimer's, it's the result of having a buildup of a certain plaque in your brain. And this plaque builds up, and uh, as the disease gets worse, more and more of the plaque builds up, and it interferes with normal brain function. So what these drugs do is they remove the plaque. So removing the plaque is not a cure. It doesn't mean the person is completely cured, but we now have a lot of data from people who have gotten these drugs over a period of years, and we know that removing this plaque with these drugs is slowing the cognitive decline. It's slowing down Alzheimer's, which you can think of as equating to giving you more time with the family member, with the person with Alzheimer's before the Alzheimer's gets severe. So the drugs have now have been approved, and Medicare covers these drugs. So we know for people over 60, and of course that doesn't mean it's a piece of cake. Of course, there's still co-pays. There's still lots of bureaucracy involving them, but we know tens of thousands of people already are getting these drugs. So again, if you have questions, if you're listening to this show and you want to get more information about the drugs, you can call our helpline, which is 800-272-3900. That's 800-272-3900. And you can also go to www.alz.org. But I will say, for my mom, who passed away in 2018 from Alzheimer's, this was all too late. In those days when the doctor made a diagnosis, the doctor just looked at me and said, you seem like a nice guy and a good son. We're really sorry. There's nothing you can do. Now, there are things that can be done, but again, if the disease is in an early stage, if the plaque is too far built up, if it's too progressed too far, they can't give the person the drug. So please, 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 if you see something that just doesn't seem right, that seems a little off in a friend, a family neighbor, a neighbor, call our helpline, ask them for support. But, really the answer is please take the person to a primary care doctor, and we can get this process underway. And hopefully, if they do have Alzheimer's, it'll be in an early enough stage that they can get these drugs, which really are proven to slow things down.
So early detection really does matter. Early detection
Yeah,
really does matter. What
it's
do we
huge.
know about preventing Alzheimer's before you even get the diagnosis, before you even get there? Some things that we can do. Being, that my mom had vascular dementia, my best friend, her father also passed with Alzheimer's. We both are vigilant about our memory, our cognitive levels, like
Yeah,
wanting,
yeah,
it's always in the back of our minds, right? As if
right.
we may be diagnosed as well. So what do we know about preventative measures?
So thanks so much for that question, Cheryl. We just had a major breakthrough with some important research that we at the Alzheimer's Association funded. So again, the funds that we raise in the walk directly led into this just huge discovery. And the discovery was this, you always hear, hey, get exercise and eat right, monitor your health, stay engaged. You hear those things, and those are things that can be important for preventing high blood pressure, diabetes, heart disease, a lot of different diseases. We want to know scientifically, could we prove that those things will actually prevent the onset of Alzheimer's? So we funded a 2-year study called US Pointer. And in the study, there were 4,000 people all over the country. And these were people who were more prone to get Alzheimer's than the normal person. So they were not physically active. They were obese. They did not exercise. They tended to live alone. They had bad genetic factors like you and I have, Cheryl. They had a close family member who had Alzheimer's, and they were, generally not healthy people. And so of these 4,000, 2,000 were put through what we call the structured program, which involved regular exercise, cognitive work, playing games and puzzles and reading, the things that you were talking about. They were on a very strict diet, and they were monitored. So they met with a coach once every 2 weeks to monitor, to make sure they were really doing these things. Then there was a second group who we did not monitor, but they were just sort of on their own, but we told them the things that we wanted them to do: get exercise, stay engaged, improve your nutrition. And the results were amazing. So the group that was structured, that was really doing this program, their cognitive abilities improved at the end of the study by 1 to 2 years. So in other words, we were successful by changing their lifestyle. They are now less prone to get Alzheimer's. The group that did the practices but weren't structured, they also had an improved cognitive ability, but not quite as much as the people who were undergoing a structured program. So what this means is we now know the lifestyle improvements: eating right, getting exercise, staying engaged, regularly going to the doctor for checkups, getting good sleep, not smoking. We know those things actually will prevent Alzheimer's. So the next step for how to get these lifestyle improvements out into the community, of course, is to publicize these results. It's to have lifestyle programs all over the country, and that's part of what we're raising money for in our walk. So if you want to prevent Alzheimer's, come to the walk this Saturday on the National Mall on the 27th at 10 a.m. Join us. Help us raise money to make sure that the general public knows that, in fact, yes, there are things that each of us can do to prevent Alzheimer's.
That's so good. That's such great information. We talked about it briefly in the beginning. I told you how I used a number of resources from the Alzheimer's Association as a caregiver, just trying to get an understanding of the disease, just trying to get an understanding of how to navigate different resources that we needed to help my mom even navigate the home. Talk about some of the resources that the Alzheimer's Association offer to families and caregivers.
Yes, thanks so much. And I will say, when I was going through this journey with Alzheimer's, when I found out about my mom's diagnosis, I couldn't spell Alzheimer's. Yeah. I didn't know anything about Alzheimer's, and I think that's true of most people. So the resources that we offer at the Alzheimer's Association, as I mentioned, the best one is a 24/7 helpline where you can call at any time of the day or night on any day of the week, holiday, during the week, weekend, whatever. And the number is 800-272-3900. That's 800-272-3900. And the people who are on this helpline are master's level social workers, people who are very experienced in helping navigate Alzheimer's for families. So there's no question that's, too inappropriate to ask of the helpline. They are there to provide support of any type. So that's of course at a national level. And again, it's 800-272-3900. But I know for me, Cheryl, what I really needed was local help right where my mom was located.
Mm-hmm.
And what the Alzheimer's Association has right in the community are support groups, educational programs, and we have at the local chapter of the Alzheimer's Association, we have people who you can talk to get help and a consultation for how to care for someone right here in our community, in Prince George's County, in Northern Virginia, in the district, in Montgomery County. You can talk to someone who has a lot of expertise in all the things that it takes to care for someone with Alzheimer's. And I don't know about you, Cheryl, but I had so many questions just because
Yes.
what was the future going to be like? So many questions, so many worries. How in the world was I going to navigate all of this? So, again, I would start by calling 800-272-3900. I would also go on our website, which has a zillion resources, which is www.alz.org. And also, you can reach out to the National Capital Area chapter, which you can also get to from our website, and you can talk to someone who knows a lot about the resources and navigating the process in our local community.
Got it. That is so good. I heard that the Alzheimer's Association just launched a new app too for people with Alzheimer's and other dementias. Tell us about that.
Yes, we are very, very excited about that.
Mm-hmm.
So the new app is called My ALZ Journey, My Alz Journey. It's available both in the iPhone, in the Apple App Store, and in the Android App Store. And it's an app that we designed and tested and built not just for family members, but also for people who have Alzheimer's. We
Mm-hmm.
wanted this app to be something that people who have Alzheimer's could use. So it is very user-friendly. It's very easy to use. And it, in addition to helping the person with his or her journey and the family member, it's got a direct connection to the resources that we provide right here in the D.C. area. So, again, when I was looking for resources for my mom, I wish I could have connected to resources right where she lived. Well, you can do that through the app. And again, it's called My Alz Journey. And if you have a family member who has Alzheimer's, I would very much recommend that they try it out, because the feedback that we've gotten so far is very favorable, especially for people who have Alzheimer's themselves. It's easy to use, and I think it provides a lot of reassurance to the person who has Alzheimer's that he or she is not alone, that there's a lot of support for the person with Alzheimer's in the community and from the Alzheimer's Association.
Awesome. So the app again is called My ALZ Journey or My Alz Journey. Look for that
Right.
in your app store, whether it's an Android
right.
or an Apple product. All right.
Right.
So getting back to the walk, how can someone get involved? I know that folk have teams set up, and if you don't have a team, you can be a part of. You could create a team. There's ways that you can get involved in just donating altogether. So tell us how to get involved with the ALZ walk.
So to sign up, which you don't have to do, but if you'd like to sign up in advance, just go to alz.org,
Mm-hmm.
scroll down to the walk, click. There's a little box to click that says register for your walk. You click there, you enter your zip code or enter what state you live in. You'll easily come to the place to sign up for the DC Walk, which again is on the National Mall on this coming Saturday, the 27th at 10 a.m. And as you said, Cheryl, you can start your own team. You can join someone else's team. You can just be there by yourself if you'd like to, however you want to do it. If you'd like to make a donation, that would be wonderful. If you're not able to make a donation, that's fine too. And we meet everyone exactly where they are. But so please, again, you can go to alz.org, scroll to where it says register for a walk, click there, and you can sign up. And even if you don't sign up, if you happen to hear this show, just come on down to the mall on Saturday the 27th. You can give us your contact information there, and we'd love to have as many people there as possible.
Oh, I think it's going to be an amazing event. That's coming up on September 27th. I've got to mark my calendar. And if I'm not able to
Yeah.
be there, I'm definitely going to donate because I
Okay,
love
great.
what the Alzheimer's Association is doing.
Great.
All right,
Great.
so we're going to wrap things up because we're getting to the close of our interview. But what message would you like to leave with our listeners about Alzheimer's and the walk to end Alzheimer's?
So thanks so much again for doing this, Cheryl. Here's my message. Alzheimer's is everywhere, but there are things that we can do to push back against Alzheimer's. And what we can do is go to the walk on the 27th, go on our website, alz.org, call our helpline, 800-272-3900. If you're one of the 900,000 people in D.C., Maryland, and Virginia who's dealing with Alzheimer's, my message to you is you're not alone. You're one of us. We're here for you. Please come and join us, and we will do everything we can to support you on your journey.
If you're just tuning in, I'm talking with Dean Brenner. He is the board chair of the Alzheimer's Association National Capital Area Chapter and the board of directors of the Alzheimer's Association. We're talking about the Walk to End Alzheimer's, which is going to take place on September 27th. What location are we going to be in again this year?
On the National Mall between 12th and 14th Streets, 10 a.m. Saturday the 27th. Please come join us.
Got you. Find out more information too at alz.org. That's alz.org. He also mentioned the hotline. If more information about the Alzheimer's Association, or if you have any questions being a caregiver, or maybe you've been diagnosed yourself, call the number 1-800-272-3900. That's 1-800-272-3900. Thank you so much, Dean. We appreciate you calling again today.
Thanks so much, Cheryl. This was a wonderful opportunity. Thank you.
You're very welcome. One of the things that Dean said that sticks out is that in 2024, Virginia has an estimated 164,000 people aged 65 plus living with Alzheimer's, while Maryland has over 127,000 and D.C. has 15,000. Maryland reported the highest prevalent rate in the U.S., with 12.9% of the adults over 65 living with Alzheimer's or related dementias. The cost of care is significant in all three areas, with the value of unpaid care in Virginia estimated over $14 billion. In Maryland, over $7 billion, and D.C. at over $334 million in 2024. This is why the Alzheimer's Association is fighting so hard in the capital area region to raise money for a cure, right? And not only a cure, but preventative measures and all the resources they use to help those who are fighting all kinds of dementias. To participate in the walk or just simply to donate, go to alz.org. That's alz.org. The 2025 Walk to End Alzheimer's in D.C. happens Saturday, September 27th, and you can donate today. All right. That's our Community Affairs show today. I'm Cheryl Jackson on Praise 104.1 and Magic 102.3 and 92.